serve. I want to start by just following up on an issue similar to the one that Senator Moran raised about delays in disability claims. Recently, I've heard stories from veterans about how far they have to travel for their compensation and pension claim examinations and the stress that that puts on them. Leon Rideout, the VFW commander in New Hampshire, was recently scheduled for a compensation and pension claim exam 4 hours away in New York. Attending this exam would have forced him to miss a full day of work. He couldn't attend, and now he may be forced to wait even longer to get his exam. Exams that are far away can be even more burdensome, obviously, for veterans who have a condition that impedes their ability to travel long distances. So how do you plan to address this challenge and schedule veterans at the facility that is closest and most convenient for them to travel to?
Senator, thanks very much for raising that important issue. This is a key part of the veteran experience. This is oftentimes the only time a veteran will engage with someone representing VBA, because the majority of our staff are working in offices at home in front of a computer and not directly engaging face-to-face. And so it's often, it'll indicate whether they want to continue with the process and pursue the other earned benefits that they have or not and lose trust. What we're doing to address specifically the issue of drive time is working with our 4 vendors. The majority of the CMP exams we do are done by vendor companies, and enforcing certain contractual standards with respect to timeliness and length of distance. Where they're falling short, they then have to pay penalties. But I think what we also have to do, and first and foremost, is make sure that the veteran actually needs the exam. Yes. We need to check and make sure if there's sufficient evidence already in their file, we shouldn't be sending a veteran to go get that exam. Right. And so if you have an example of the particular veteran you mentioned, I'd love to look into it, follow up, understand what happened, figure out how to resolve it, and also identify the broader system issues.
All right. Well, I appreciate that, and we will follow up with you. I want to touch now on an education benefits issue. Members of the National Guard and Reserve make up more than 40% of the United States Armed Forces. As you know, members of the Reserve component can qualify for VA education benefits, but they can also be called up to active duty at any moment. Their service is obviously really important to our nation and to our security, but it may also disrupt their education and lead to service members not receiving school credit and wasting tuition dollars because their education has been interrupted. So if confirmed, what will you do to support members of the Reserve component and ensure that they can take full advantage of their education benefits?
Senator, this is actually an issue I'm quite interested in, and I'm glad that you raised it. I think the VA has historically, and VBA specifically, has focused on the digital GI Bill. So we focused on the modernization of our IT infrastructure, and we've appropriately focused on preserving the integrity of the GI Bill. Right. But we haven't done enough to focus on ensuring we're supporting the majority of veterans who are using their benefits and giving them the leg up to advance their careers. So what I would love to do is work with your office. I'm actually pulling together a roundtable filled with student veterans, schools, and employers to explore how we can identify additional ways to support veterans there. I know that there are certain authorities that can help veterans that are called back up to active duty to preserve some of their education benefits, but we need to do a whole lot more, and if confirmed, I'd love to work with you.
No, I'd look forward to that too. I want to talk a little bit about the transition process, and I expect that you have heard a great deal from committee members, and we'll continue about that. Every year, approximately 200,000 service members make the complex and difficult transition from military service to civilian life. Last year, I worked to get the Solid Start Act passed into law, and I continue to believe that that program is essential to ensuring that veterans are aware of their benefits immediately after separation. But we still need to do more for these veterans in these early years. How do you plan to prioritize the needs of transitioning service members to ensure that they're receiving information and access to VA benefits that they've earned, they deserve, and can make a real difference, obviously, in their next chapter?
Well, first, let me just thank you for your leadership on Solid Start. This is a really impactful program. I think GAO highlighted that in a recent report, but it also highlighted we've got some work to do in better communicating with younger transitioning service members, and we importantly have to partner with VSOs to make sure that we're tailoring the program and the outreach to meet their needs. I think one of the most important things we can do here is not come up with a 3,000-mile screwdriver with kind of the ideas that we think are best from our seats in DC, but to actually go and talk to the transitioning service members. And so partnering with the Veteran Experience Office, we're leading an interagency effort to perform human-centered design, where we're having interviews with transitioning service members and their families, and then taking the insights along that transition journey to identify the pain points, the moments that matter, and then use that to drive improvements. We have multiple interagency partners involved, and so we need to deconflict this. We need to make sure that we're designing and implementing support to transitioning service members that's designed around their needs and not our organizational structure.
Okay, well, I would appreciate learning more about that effort, working with you on it. One of the things I'm also aware of, and I think has been highlighted in other work that you all have done, when I talk to veterans, women veterans in particular, I think find the transition process not really necessarily suited to their needs. So it's one of the things that we need to focus on too. Thank you.